So this tutorial we will review exception handling, reading files using the system.io library, as well as passing values to methods with parameters. So of course we are still creating console application C# programs. We are going to name this program exception handling. We're going to start this program by adding a library to the top of our code, the system.io library. This library will allow us to access classes that will, such as the StreamReader class, that will allow us to read text files. So in our static main method, we are going to let's actually create a global variable first for our StreamReader file. We'll go ahead and type StreamReader. If you don't see StreamReader come up, then you may have missed this step here. You need to ensure that you have this library added to the top of your code in order for you to access this class. So we're just going to name the variable for this StreamReader object SR. I'm going to set the value to it to initialize it to null. And inside my main method, I'm going to simply ask the user to enter a file location. Okay. And when the user enters a file location, we're going to need to pass that information to a method. So we're going to create a new method named, let's name it public static void read file. And then we will get string data from this. Okay, so coming back up here to our main method, we will call our read file. We'll add some code to it in a moment, but we want to call our read file method, and we're going to pass it the information that the user enters here. Alright, so we're going to say console.read line. Perfect. So whatever the user enters now gets passed to this read file method. So then we come into our read file method, and then we want to have the StreamReader open the file and read it, send the information to the console, or have the console write it out. So we're going to give the SR a value. So we'll say our StreamReader variable SR, we're going to set it to file.openText, and then the location of the file that we want to open. So that's what this is saying here, is that SR or file.openText, I want you to open this file at this location. Okay, and this, let's check our error here, non-static. So yes, we can't forget to make our field static here. So that fixes that error. So after the StreamReader has opened the file, we also want the console to read it. So we'll say console.writeLine sr.read to end. So now when the program starts, first it's going to ask the user to enter a file location. The user is going to enter some information. That information is going to be sent to the read file method. The read file method is going to then use the SR StreamReader to open a text file, and then it's going to write the text file to the console. Let's also add our console.read key, so it will pause the program and wait on the key command. So before we run this program, we're going to need to create a test file. So what I did was I went to my computer, and on my USB drive, I know it's on my USB drive because it says here in the D drive, and I'm just went and right clicked and added a file called my test, and I have another one called test file, of course, but I went to my test and I just edited my test and added a couple lines of information. Nothing really big. So if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and create a test file, a text document, name it whatever you want, and put it on your USB drive or somewhere on your computer where you know where the location of that is. You're going to need a letter drive and possibly a folder name if you are putting it inside a folder. But mine is not inside of a folder. It's on the root directory. So just make sure that you know exactly where you are creating your file, because yours may not say D. Okay, so back to our program. Let's go ahead and run it. So it says enter file location. Again, I said earlier, I know that my file's on my D drive. I need to put a slash in order to finish off the drive information, and now I need to go ahead and put the file, the name of the file, which it's called my test, and you have to put the file extension. It is a text document, so it ends in TXT. So once you hit enter, it should read the contents of that file. So it's awesome when the file is there and everything works as planned. However, what happens if the user enters the wrong file name, which you may have done, or if you did not create a file? So let's say, for instance, I put in letter D. I'm going to put test. I accidentally put text instead, and I hit .txt. Now I'm getting an error. This says unhandled, exception of type system.io, file not found, exception. So of course, because I'm using the system.io library, it's giving me this, it's throwing this exception because it can't find the file that I typed. So what I would need to do to prevent my program from being broken and the user from seeing this information here that they wouldn't understand, I need to handle this error, this exception. So we're all familiar already with creating or using try and catch. If you're not, we're going to get a refresher now. So we know already that try and catch, we can type in the keyword try and put in some brackets, and then we know already this means that, hey computer, I want you to try to do something. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to try to open this text file and read it, right? So we're just going to take this code here, and I'm just going to copy it, delete it, cut it, and I'm going to paste it there. So this says, hey, I want you to try to do this. Try to open this file. Now, of course, the catch part of a try and catch is the part that catches the exception, and in which an exception is an error. And it's pretty much an object that contains information about an error. So if for some reason the computer cannot execute these 2 lines of code, then hey, I want you to throw an exception. I want you to throw this object that contains the error information that I need to know, that lets me know, hey, why this information or why these 2 lines of code did not execute. So I'm going to throw a specific kind of error, which is going to be a file not found exception, because it's kind of like driving down your car. You're driving down the road in your car. If your car is low on gas or if it's low on oil, you want those particular lights to come on. You don't want a general, hey, something's wrong light to come on. You want a light that comes on and tells you exactly what's going on with your car. Hey, your car is low on gas, your car is low on oil. So if for some reason this does not work, we don't want the computer to say, hey, an error occurred. We want the computer to say, hey, we can't find the file, so that way the user knows exactly what happened and they know exactly what to do to fix it. So the error that, the exception object that we want to use is the file not found exception. All right. So it's just like a class, how we've been using them before, like data types, where we need to still create a variable name. So I'm going to name this one FNFE. So I know that, hey, this is an object here that it's going to catch an error for me, and it's going to contain some information about the error. So using the information about the error, I would like to display what the error is on the console should an error occur. So I'm going to say console dot write line parentheses, and I'm going to say FNFE dot message. This will let me have access to the actual message that this object catches pertaining to the error. So we're going to run the program, enter a file location, and we're just going to put the drive letter. Enter. We have an error. You are attempting to access the file. Make sure it's not read only. Let's close it. Let's try this again. We got to find an error. Well, that's a good one. We should add that. We'll catch that error next. So we will catch the unauthorized access exception. It's not the error that I wanted it to catch. So notice that because it's not a file not found exception, it's not catching it. So let's just for the sake of learning about catching errors and exceptions, let's catch that error. Catch unauthorized exception. We're going to name this UAE. Console.writeLine UAE message. Okay. So let's run our program again, and let's try that again at D. See, now it's giving us our error information here. And let's try it again with the wrong file name. Could not find file. Okay, that's our other error. And then let's run it again with the correct file name. And then it actually displays the information. Now the other part to error handling I want you guys to be familiar with is the finally block. Finally is a block of code inside of a try and catch that will execute regardless of whether an error is thrown or not. So whether or not the computer, the program catches an error or throws in one of these objects here, we want this particular piece of code to still execute. So I'm going to write, just put good job, and thank you. So regardless of whether the program runs successfully or whether it catches errors, it's going to say good job. We also want it to catch general errors. Alright, so we'll just say exception X. So if it didn't catch one of those errors, whatever else it caught, or whatever else it catches, we want it to tell us what's wrong. And I want you to notice how I'm doing this. You want to make sure that you have the more specific errors before the more general ones, because if you have this error up here, these aren't going to be able to execute, and your program is going to give you a syntax error. So or a runtime error rather. Okay, so let's run our program again to see how this works. So one, if you don't enter the right file name, it's going to tell you what the error was, could not find the file. and then it's going to say good job, thank you. We'll stop the program, run it again, and here we're going to enter an actual file name, my test.txt, and it tells you what the document contents are, and again you still see it says good job, thank you. And that is it for error handling and passing methods with parameters.